Hey y'all, in this video today, I'm going to show you guys how I flipped 3 pieces of furniture at the exact same time. I want to take you guys along on the entire process of furniture flipping, how I think is the easy way, which is doing multiple pieces at the same time. Hopefully after you watch this video, it will make more sense on why that actually is easier. In this video, I'm going to show you the entire process of how I flip furniture from the very beginning of how I find the right piece of furniture to flip at the thrift stores or Facebook Marketplace, all the way to the end of how I stage a piece and sell it to make a profit. So I hope you guys will learn something in this video. I hope you really enjoy these furniture flips and wait till the end to see exactly how much money I made. Let's get started.
So this is one of my favorite parts of furniture flipping. I love to go to my local thrift stores like Goodwill to find a piece that I can flip. So I first saw this piece, but I realized that it had water damage and it was obviously a particle board piece of furniture. So I did not go with that piece. I then came and found this chest of drawers, and I did like this piece. It looked fancy. It was a large, nice, heavy piece of furniture, but they wanted $69.99, which is a little bit high. I like to stay $50 or under, but we will think about that one. Then I saw this china cabinet, and so china cabinets can be really tempting because I've seen a lot of really cool flips that people do with these, but this one was missing its hardware. They only wanted $30, so it was tempting, but I realized it was also missing glass shelves on the inside. And I've found that china cabinets just really don't sell as good as dressers do, so I stay away from china cabinets. Next, I came across this piece, which after first glance, I was like, I don't know. The top was obviously broken. It was missing this piece of trim around the top, and it was like a plywood top. It wasn't solid wood. The drawers seemed like they were not working right, but I've found that at thrift stores, a lot of times people will take the drawers out to move a piece of furniture, and really they just didn't put them back the right way. This piece was actually only $21.99, which is a really good deal, and I thought it had a cool modern look to it, so I decided to pick that one up. So when I got my pieces of furniture home, I actually unload and move furniture by myself all the time. So I just wanted to leave this clip in to show you guys that it can be done. You can absolutely do it. You just learn how to manipulate furniture. So let's see what I got. I ended up actually buying this chest of drawers, even though it was a little too expensive for my liking. I paid $69 for this piece, but I think that we're going to be able to flip it and make a profit. Then I also went with this modern dresser because I think it has potential. And then I already had picked this up from Facebook Marketplace. I only paid $35 for this chest of drawers. These don't sell as good as long dressers, but it was so cheap I had to still pick it up.
All right, now that we've got 3 new pieces of furniture here in the shed ready to flip, the first thing that I do on any furniture flip is to take a screwdriver and remove all of the old handles and hardware from the piece. Then I'll go ahead and use some hot soapy water, get everything nice and clean and ready for the priming and the prep process. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's get these things cleaned up, and I'll get back to you guys in a second.
This part is so important because people are gross, and you never know what can be hiding in the back of some of these pieces of furniture. I have found all kinds of disgusting things that you don't even want to know about. So make sure to clean up all of your pieces really good, because you don't want someone to purchase this from you and find some random junk or garbage in the back, or just have a sticky, nasty, gross piece of furniture. So I always make sure to clean my pieces really good before I get started on the flip.
All right, so we got the dressers all cleaned up. I'm gonna start with this one. I'm really excited about this piece because it has a nice, cool, modern look. But obviously, you probably already noticed, it's missing a trim piece off of the top. The top is broken. And so what we're going to do is, instead of just completely tearing this top off and starting from scratch, I'm actually going to remove the end trim pieces, which are still there. I'm gonna pull those off. And then I'm going to use 1x boards, and I'm going to cut them, and I'm not sure what design I'm going to do yet. I'll do that next, or worry about that part next, but I'm going to cover the current top with those 1x boards, and then I'm going to use new 1x's to trim it all the way around. And so I'm going to start, like I said, with pulling off the end pieces, the trim on the edges, and then it's got a little bit of a piece of plywood that's across the front where that trim used to be, so I'm going to have to use a jigsaw and cut that straight so the new trim piece can sit flush. So that's what we're gonna do. So these are the handles that came on this dresser. They are wood, and I think that they'll look really cool if I can keep them a natural wood color or at least stain them to match whatever color I do with the top. And so I'm just gonna take my orbital sander and sand these down as good as I can, and then we'll decide what color to stain these. Okay, so now I've got the next piece out here, and I'm actually not going to sand this down. A lot of people want you to sand down your dresser or your wood before you paint it, but since we're going to paint all of these pieces and we're not going to try to stain anything, I am actually just going to kind of scuff sand everything and really just focus on some of the parts that have chips and big scratches or gouges in it. I'm gonna make sure I sand all of those smooth because those will show up in the paint. But other than that, you don't have to worry about sanding everything down. We're just going to, like I said, focus on the part that has scratches or scuffs. All right, so I've got all three pieces out here on a drop cloth ready to be primed. And so I went ahead and used blue tape and taped off all of the edges of the drawers so it would give everything a nice finished line and we wouldn't get it on the sides of those drawers. And then I'm going to just use my paint sprayer by HomeRite and give everything a nice good prime coat. And I may do a second coat, we'll see how well it covers. I'm not gonna worry about this top because we are going to do that new top on this, so it doesn't have to be primed. It's gonna get all covered up with some new wood. But that's what we're gonna start with, primer, and then the next step will be paint.
I think that doing multiple pieces of furniture at the same time is the absolute best way to flip furniture if you're trying to do it for a profit or a side hustle. The reason is I've found that you spend way more time with prep work and setup work and then cleanup work after the fact, almost more time, if not more time, than the actual painting.
So I have all three of these pieces back outside and ready to spray the actual paint color. So I've got them on two separate drop cloths. These two pieces I'm going to spray paint black or with my paint sprayer, and then the other piece I'm going to spray in a green color. And so I'll do the black pieces first, switch out the paint, and do the green color after. So I actually decided to switch to my other paint sprayer. This is a gray coat paint sprayer for this coat. I had a little bit of trouble with my other paint sprayer on the primer coat, so we'll see if this one goes any better.
This is where using a paint sprayer comes in really handy. It's when you're painting the underneaths of shelves or the inside of a piece like this. Have to have a paint sprayer. Okay, so for the next piece, I went with this green paint, and here's a quick tip. If you check the clearance section at Lowe's or Home Depot, you can find $9 paint. So that is absolutely the easiest and best way to find paint is in the Oops section.
All right, so it's obviously the next day. I didn't have enough time last night to do the black and then switch over to the green paint, so I'm doing that today. I've got the green paint in my gray coat paint sprayer, so I'm gonna start on this piece now. So now it is time to build this custom top for this long black dresser. Just excuse the mess in the garage, but I've got it in here because it is really hot outside today and it's in the shade. And so I'm going to build this top. So obviously, if you don't have to build a top on a furniture flip, then that's the easiest thing to do. Just go ahead and paint it or sand it down and stain it. But it always does make it a way more unique piece, and it helps the piece sell. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I build these tops. I just use these 1x4 boards, which are the cheapest boards that you can buy. I think they call them common boards also. And so this is super cheap, super easy, and I'm gonna show you guys step by step exactly how you can build this. All right, so the first thing that you want to do when you're building a new top out of these 1x's is to find the center of the long part of the dresser top or tabletop.
Then after finding the center, just take a straight edge or a level and mark that line all the way down the middle of the dresser top.
I've got the 1x4 common board. I'm going to use 5 of these, I believe, for this piece. These are the cheapest boards that you can get at a Home Depot or Lowe's. They're only like $2 or $3 a piece. So this is a really budget-friendly top that you can build, and it's gonna add a lot of character. So the first thing, I think I'm going to do a chevron pattern. I think that that's gonna look good with this piece. And so the first thing that you wanna do, get your miter saw set up. If you don't have one, you can always use a speed square to get the 45-degree angle. And you can use a jigsaw, you can use just a hand saw, or like a skill saw or circular saw. But I've got a miter saw and this makes things a lot easier. So first thing that you're gonna want to do is set it to a 45-degree angle. Go ahead and make a cut, and then we're gonna carry this board over and see how long to make it based on the center cut all the way to the edge of the dresser. That'll make more sense here in a second, but cut it at 45 degrees. So now we got the board cut with our 45-degree angle. I went ahead and cut it off because I knew about the length that this was going to be, but I'm gonna show you guys how to get the exact measurement without having to use a measuring tape for every single cut that you do. So cut that 45-degree angle, bring it over to the dresser, put that 45-degree cut on that center line that you previously marked, and I'm gonna go ahead and start it on the furthest point to the end of the dresser. So I've got it flush with the end of the dresser. I've got that 45-degree angle cut mark on the center line. And then this is why you don't have to actually measure your cuts out. So as long as you've got some excess or some extra board here, take your pencil and anything that's overhanging, you're just gonna go underneath it, mark it, and then you'll take it back over to the miter saw and cut that piece off. Okay, now that I have this piece cut off with the other 45-degree angle, I'm going to line it up with the end of the dresser, that onto the center line, and then of course make sure it's flush on the edge. And so I'm going to take my Ryobi nail gun and shoot these boards directly onto the previous top. So we're not going to remove this top, we're just shooting it down on this top. And so I'm going to put a couple in the edge here. And then a couple here in the middle. And then we are basically going to just repeat that step on both sides all the way down the dresser. So now that we have all of these 1-bys shot down with the nails on the top in that chevron pattern, the next step is to do the edging. Obviously I still have to set some of these nails, and then I'll have to sand it all down and clean it up. But before we worry about setting the nails, we're gonna go ahead and do the edging. So I'm only going to do it on the front and then the 2 sides. I'm not going to do a trim piece on the back because it would make it look completely finished as a top, but it would actually make the dresser have to stick out from the wall. And so I don't want that. I want people to be able to put this flush against the wall if they would like. So I've got my measuring tape. Basically, I'm just going to measure the original top and the new 1-by boards, the thickness of that, which mine is 1.5 inches. I'm going to make it just slightly bigger than 1.5 inches. That way, when you're looking from the front, you can't see that original top underneath. And so I'm going to rip down my last 1x4 board down to about 1.5 inches, and then I will cut 45s as the angles on the corners and make it wrap all the way around. And so that's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna trim the front and the sides of this top.
I recommend doing these custom wood tops anytime you have a chance. They're only a $20 or $25 upgrade. It doesn't take that much time, but you end up selling these pieces so much faster and for more money than the pieces that you don't do it on.
I want to leave this top as natural as possible, but I have in the past taken my clear coat, and once I go over this natural wood, it really darkens the color of it. And so I've seen things online, on YouTube and different places, that if you do a paint wash, basically just really watering down a paint, like a tan or a white colored paint, and then you wipe it on, it won't turn into that really dark honey color whenever you put the clear coat. So we're gonna try that. So basically I've taken some tan paint and mixed a bunch of water with it, and I've got a rag, and I'm just gonna wipe a light coat on everything and kind of do this paint wash technique. And we'll see how it goes, and if this is something that is worth doing or not. Go ahead and do the last and final step on these pieces of furniture. And so that is the polycrylic or clear coat. And basically here, let me show you guys what I'm using. This is polycrylic, and I'm using the triple thick version. It's by Varathane, and it's a water-based poly. I'm using the clear matte finish. And I've got some poured up, and I'm just going to brush this on. You can spray this, but it's actually self-leveling, and it's actually, I found just as easy, for me at least, to just paint it on since it is self-leveling. So I'm going to do a couple coats of that Usually if you use polycrylic, the regular kind, I found that it takes probably 3 or 4 coats of this finish if you want that nice smooth finish. But since this is the triple thick version, I really do think that 2 coats is actually sufficient. I may go ahead and do 3 or 4 coats on just the top only, but 2 coats is more than enough on the body of the dresser and the drawers.
I ended up lining these drawers for this piece with some wallpaper and using Mod Podge. I didn't record that, but I don't always do this. I only typically do this whenever there's something really dirty in the dresser or something that I could not clean or sand out. So I did do that in this piece, but I didn't show it.
So I've got this piece of furniture done, this dresser done, and I'm ready to stage it and take some pictures and videos for content and stuff like that, but ultimately pictures for selling it. And so I've never really gone over this part, I don't think, in any of our YouTube videos so far. So I want to take just a quick second and tell you how I stage it and why I stage it. Basically, staging a piece of furniture is going to help you sell a piece 9 times out of 10 over somebody who just takes a picture of it, sitting on a garage floor, or people want to envision what the piece is going to look like in their home. And so if you can take a beautiful picture of it staged with props and things on top of it and around it, and with a good backdrop, then you're way more likely to sell it, especially if your competition or someone else flipping furniture in your area is not staging their pieces. And so highly recommend figuring out some way to stage a piece. And so when I first started flipping furniture, I didn't have any type of setup or anything. I would have my mom and dad, I would do furniture in my parents' house. And so I would take it when it was done out of the garage. We would carry it in the house on a blank wall. And sometimes we even had to move old furniture out of the way, put the piece of furniture that I'd refinished against that plain wall, a white wall or a gray wall. And then we would just take a few, a lamp or picture frame or different things around the house, candle, and put it on the piece. And so I would get pictures that way. Obviously now that doesn't make a lot of sense because it's just me and Emily, and I really don't want to have to ask her to help me carry some of these big heavy pieces of furniture into our house. And so I actually just got done installing this staging wall, and so I've got this white beadboard over here for our darker pieces that are going to look good in front of white, and then I've got this kind of barnwoody shiplap look here, and these are actually just paneling. And so basically I got these at Home Depot. They're like $20 a sheet, and so it took me 2 sheets of the white and 2 sheets of the dark. And so it was really affordable. Like this whole setup may have been $80 to $100 to get the wall. And so I just shot those up. And then for rugs, I think it's really important, I've just got a plywood floor in this shed that I work in. And before I had a garage floor. And so instead of just seeing the wood floor or the garage concrete floor, I bought 3 of these smaller size rugs, and I basically just lay them out in a pattern, or you could just do one large size rug. But I got these all at the at-home store a couple years ago, and I want to say they were like maybe $20 a piece. I maybe spent $50 or $60 in rugs. I'm going to take pictures, and I'll end up putting a few of these pictures that I use for Facebook Marketplace or Instagram to sell the piece. I'll put those here in the video in just a moment. But I'm hoping that most pieces will fit in this, and that I'll be able to take a picture and crop it so you don't see the transition and you don't see the ceiling or the floor or anything like that. And so it's all about cropping and editing the pictures after the fact as well. So as far as props go, I literally just went to our house and I got several different pieces of decor that we already had in our home. I got a picture. Usually I do a lamp or at least some kind of indoor plant, but I thought this piece was kind of a boho looking piece, and so I just got this old pampas grass, and so I'm hoping that I can make do with this stuff, and we're gonna go ahead and get it staged and see what it looks like. This piece is officially done. I'm gonna take those pictures now and go inside and list this. I'll list it on Facebook Marketplace and Instagram onto our profile. And I'll update you guys if it sells before this video gets released. But I'm very excited about this piece. I think it turned out great. It had a huge transformation. If you remember what it looked like from earlier in the video, I know we've done a lot of different pieces, but this was a big transformation. I did the top, and then even just the handles, I think they match perfect with the top, and I'm really excited to see what I can get out of this piece. And I don't think I mentioned it whenever staging. It is very important to also get some pictures of it before you put all of your props and things like that on it, just in case a buyer wants to see what it looks like with nothing on it. They don't think that you're hiding anything by putting all of this stuff on it. So go ahead and get a few pictures with nothing on it for those listings as well.
So another quick tip when it comes to listing your pieces of furniture on Facebook Marketplace, Facebook wants you to pay to boost your listings. I hate it, but it's just the truth. It didn't used to be this way. So get on your computer, go ahead and make your listing, and then you will want to press Boost Listing. I only go with $2 a day for a 3-day campaign, which is $6. This will reach 850 to 2,500 people, which is so many more than organically will reach on Facebook Marketplace. This helps sell pieces so much. On to the next piece of furniture. I had so many runs and just bad looking spots on this green piece, I decided to sand that down and go ahead and give it another coat of that green paint. This is kind of a controversial thing that I'm about to say, but in the furniture flipping world, people all recommend the paint sprayer. I'm actually the opposite. I would much rather paint by hand with a brush or a 3 or 4 inch foam roller. I think that I can get just as smooth of a coat with just doing it by hand. Plus, it actually takes less time for me because you don't have all of that prep work and then all of that cleanup at the very end. You just have to clean one brush. So for my seal coat, I went again with that Polycrylic, the triple thick version. I love the triple thick version because you only have to do 1 to 2 coats rather than the other version where you have to do 3 or 4 coats. Last but not least is putting the drawers back in and putting the hardware back on the dresser. For the green piece, I stuck with the original hardware because that's actually the reason why I liked this piece to begin with. I love the color of those and those rounded handles. For the black piece, I clear coated this piece the same way, and I did end up changing this hardware out. I got the pulls at the bottom for pretty cheap from Amazon, and then the knobs that are going to go at the top I got from Hobby Lobby. They always run 50% off sales on their hardware every couple weeks, so I love going to Hobby Lobby to get my knobs and hardware for dressers.
All right, I've got both of these pieces finished up about the same time. I'm going to stage these pieces, get some good pictures and videos for content, and I'm gonna get these things listed onto Facebook Marketplace and to my Instagram account. The long dresser has already been picked up. I sold that dresser for $450. I've got both of these dressers with several messages. I've got several people wanting to come pick them up. This one has sold for $400, and then this black piece over here has sold for $350. So that brings my total gross to $1,200. My expenses were right around $200 for all of these pieces of furniture and all of my supplies and materials. I'm gonna put those down in the description below, exactly what we spent on each piece and exactly what we spent on the materials, if you guys wanna check that out and see what we're using as far as knobs and hardware and all of the tools and things that we may have used, I'll put down in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I can't believe that I was able to flip 3 pieces of furniture and make $1,000 profit. And honestly, it only took me about 15 to 20 hours of total work. Of course, I do this part-time, so this was over the course of a few weeks, but it's still a really good side hustle, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. I hope that this video has encouraged you to maybe give this a try as a side hustle, or maybe you just want to flip a piece of furniture at your house, or something for your own bedroom, or maybe it's an old piece that you've had laying around forever that you just don't like anymore. Hopefully this has taught you how you can flip furniture or how you can completely transform a piece and make it beautiful again. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it if you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below what you guys would like to see next, which piece was your favorite out of these 3, and we will see you guys on the next one.